Welcome to this episode of our program Daily Debate. As usual, we will be discussing an important debate. Today we'll be speaking about Egypt's comprehensive strategy to combat coronavirus and provide the necessary vaccines for all citizens in Egypt and even exporting at this upcoming stage. Egypt has worked on providing all the vaccines to all citizens since it was produced at the very beginning, and has imported all possible amounts that has been produced all over the world. It has been also speaking in all international forums about a fair distribution of vaccine, not only to the Arab but also to the African world at large. This Egypt has taken on its shoulder, and this year, reaping the fruits of all these efforts Egypt has been exerting. Particularly in February, the available rate of COVID-related hospital admissions across Egypt has declined by 40.4%. Between 11 and 25th of February, compared to the previous 2 weeks. That is according to the Minister of Health and Population. The number of people who are self-isolating and people admitted to intensive care units and intermediate care units nationwide also decreased during the same period, and the minister confirmed the availability of all coronavirus vaccines at fixed and mobile vaccination centers across the country for all ages groups. Egypt's daily infection, as I said, has dropped, and more than 30 million people have been fully vaccinated to date, and almost 40 million have received the first dose. Moreover, over 1 million citizens have already received their booster shots, me one of them, by the way. While Egypt has received tens of millions of doses of all coronavirus vaccines, the country is locally producing the Chinese Sinovac vaccine through the state-run Egyptian holding company for biological products and vaccines. And Dr. Abdel Ghaffar also announced this Tuesday that the start of clinical trials for EG-Vax, Egypt's second locally made COVID-19 vaccine, started. In addition, the World Health Organization announced in February that Egypt, along with 5 African countries, have been chosen to produce the mRNA or the MANA vaccines after receiving the technology from the WHO's global mRNA vaccine hub. The process will include extracting the raw material needed to produce the vaccine, like the Pfizer, the BioNTech, and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines, all these. This is how Egypt has started with seeing a comprehensive strategy in order to contain the spread of the coronavirus, in order to be able to provide the necessary vaccines for its citizens, and start with producing the vaccines, plus another issue hopefully would be good hope, a medicine, an Egyptian medicine. But we'll not speak about the medicine tonight. We'll be speaking more about the Egyptian overall strategy to combat the virus across all Egypt. Before we delve into our discussion, let me first have the headline of the day. And President Sisi holds virtual extended meeting with the Greek Prime Minister. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held on Thursday an expanded meeting via video conference with Mr. Kyriakos Mitsotakis, Prime Minister of Greece, via video conference in the presence of the Governor of the Central Bank of Egypt, the Ministers of Electricity and Renewable Energy, the Foreign Minister, Petroleum and Mineral Resources Minister, Planning and Economic Development and International Cooperation Minister, as well as their counterparts from the Greek side, along with the President of the European Investment Bank. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Maghraby said that the talks dealt with strengthening bilateral relations and cooperation between both countries, especially in the field of the energy sector, in particular the electrical and gas interconnection projects, as well as cooperation in the sectors of climate change, green transformation, green hydrogen and solar energy, in light of Egypt's hosting of the COP27 World Climate Summit in Sharm el-Sheikh that would be in next November. Ambassador Maghraby added that the two sides agreed to move forward in implementing the agreements signed between them in these sectors through the bilateral frameworks or through the tripartite cooperation mechanism that brings together Egypt, Cyprus and Greece, as well as within the framework of the strategic partnership between Egypt and the European Union. President Sisi praised the depth of the distinguished relations between Egypt and Greece, the growing development witnessed by bilateral cooperation in various fields, and the distinguished level of political coordination between the two countries on issues of mutual concern, expressing his appreciation for Greece's stances towards Egypt, whether at the bilateral level or in the framework of the European Union, which reflects the strength of the long-standing historical relations between the two countries. On his part, the Greek Prime Minister stressed the special, close and historical ties between the two countries, welcoming the remarkable progress in the level of bilateral cooperation over the past years and expressing his country's keenness to continue deepening relations between the two countries and pushing them to broader horizons in various fields, especially in light of the pivotal Egyptian role in strengthening mechanisms of joint action in the face of the current crises and challenges in the Mediterranean region, which is a model to be followed in maintaining stability and advancing development, economic and social conditions at the regional level. Ambassador Maghraby said that the meeting also dealt with discussing on climate change issues and preparations for the COP27 World Climate Summit to be held at, as I said at the very beginning, in Sharm el-Sheikh next November, where the President stressed that Egypt will adopt a comprehensive approach during its presidency of the summit and that it will take into account the priorities and positions of all parties in order to ensure that the summit comes out with positive results and in favor of supporting the international climate action with all its components, while the Greek Prime Minister affirmed the confidence of the European side in Egypt's leadership of the upcoming climate summit and the keenness to enhance joint cooperation between the two sides in this framework. Yes, and to highlight this important call between the Greek Prime Minister and President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, we have with us over the phone Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good evening to you.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you so much, Your Excellency. Let me here ask you about this very important phone call the President held with the Prime Minister or the Greek Prime Minister today, and the very distinguished relations that have been witnessed during the past period.
Very distinguished, very old. I here always look at the Egyptian Pharaonic Empire, the Greek Empire by that time, the Roman civilization. And always I tell our Italian friends that after all, our grand-grandmother Cleopatra married Mark Antony, and Alexander the Great came and established the Alexandria civilization. This is one of the oldest relations in the whole diplomatic world.
Yes, indeed.
Recently, we came to another sort of relation. We have a very eminent community of Egyptians living in Greece, and they work, very hard workers. I once had a problem with a sailor, Egyptian sailor, and I talked to the Greek ambassador. We were by that time in Brazil, and he told me something not many people know. It is that 25% of the sailors on the Greek ships, commercial ships, are from Egypt, especially from my city, Damietta, especially from the village Azbet el-Burg. Also, there is a big Egyptian community living in Greece in the field of textile industry. Also, I lived in Alexandria, where there were 500,000 Greek people live with us, and it was a big community.
Right.
So the relation is very old. Now we come a big leap when we joined the Egyptian-European Association Agreement. Then Greek was a member, and they helped us a lot to give us some advices during the negotiations, and they were supporting the Egyptian position. Yes. I don't want to take your time, but I want to also to mention the Greek pilots' position during the war of 1956.
Right, but Ambassador Bayoumi, those are very distinguished indeed, historical relations. But speaking about today's virtual meeting between the President and the Prime Minister, which was attended by many ministers as well as the Central Bank of Egypt, and Governor of the Central Bank of Egypt. And today's meeting has witnessed three main axes, three main files that were raised. The economic one, the bilateral cooperation, and COP27.
Yes.
So, if we speak about the recent bilateral that comes within the trilateral relations and cooperation between Egypt, Greece, and Cyprus as well, how do you view those relations? How do you view the agreements that were signed previously, and how we follow up on them?
This is another big leap in the relations, but thank God that it is a gift from God, our discoveries of gas in our area. And seems it is a new big wealth will be added to the three economies. And we established East Mediterranean Forum for the gas producers. And the siege is in Cairo. So we have a lot to deal there. Now Egypt became main exporter of energy, whether it is gas or oil or electricity also. And yesterday, I hope you read the news that we are starting to establish the cable between Egypt and Greece and Cyprus. So we are exporting electricity tomorrow to Europe through Greece.
Yes.
Also, the Eastern Mediterranean countries who produce gas are here now in Cairo with this new organization. We are going to coordinate our policies about this matter. We are resisting those who are greedy about our wealth. You know that some countries came all of a sudden trying to come to the colonialism time. That Turkey would say that we were, Libya was a part of our empire. Thank God, okay, so let's say the same concerning Spain or other countries. No, nobody can accept this language. So it is very important point, not only on the economic and the energy, it is a security matter. So the coordination between Egypt, Greece, Cyprus, Italy, very important, and I think
the gas forum.
I feel happy really whenever our president is talking to those leaders. Now we restore what I call the presidential relations. We lacked this for the last 30 years in our diplomacy. Now we are using our own powers. That really I am happy that now Cairo is one of the most crowded city of embassies. Some embassies in Cairo with big and important relation with Egypt has embassies in Cairo much bigger than the whole diplomatic Egyptian representation abroad. This shows you that we are on the right track, that we have direct contact with all our partners on the presidential level.
Yes, I guess the latest demarcation of the maritime borders between Egypt and Greece that followed the demarcation of borders between Egypt and Cyprus also facilitated continuing cooperation in the field of gas, COP27. And we are preparing together for COP27, the World Climate Summit, to be held in Sharm el-Sheikh by November, with God's will. How far do you think Egypt has been preparing for that summit, and how do you view the pivotal role Egypt has been playing in the climate change file so far?
We are very careful about this file because for the first time, one big country of the third world is taking the leading role of such a problem, the environment. Because, you know, the whole third world do not affect negatively our environment. The problem is in the highly developed industrialized countries, namely United States, Europe, China also. They all are polluting our life. And how we can play a sort of a mediating role in order to make the temperature of our world a little bit less by 1 degree. If not, then we shall be flooded with water and our coast will be covered with water. So I think Egypt knows quite well the task, and it's not easy. But the good point that the whole world, I don't see any country not supporting the Egyptian role, and here we are a good arbitrator which will do its job. So Sharm el-Sheikh, inshallah, in November will be the place where we shall play this role in order to come to good position from those who are polluting our environment in order to get good results for the whole world, including, of course, our third world.
Yes, indeed, and we'll be waiting for a much anticipated important summit in November in Egypt or at the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. Your Excellency, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you so much for being with us and for your input here. I guess that one of the issues that Egypt has been working on is on this very particular issue is how to confront the climate change reflection on Egypt, which is one of the most affected countries, and on Africa at large. I guess that takes us to the other segments, or our next segment, and Egypt's comprehensive strategy towards combating coronavirus and providing the necessary vaccine. Let me here first welcome our guest, Dr. Amr Al-Maghraby, member of board of Pharmacists Syndicate. Thank you so much for being with us.
Welcome, with you. It's an honor for me to be in the Egyptian TV.
Thank you so much, sir. Before we delve into our discussion, let's first have this quick report on Egypt, one of the few countries that achieved growth rate amidst COVID-19 pandemic, according to President Sisi. Let's watch.
أتوجه برسالة إلى قادة العالم أجمع. استمعوا إلى شبابكم، شاركوهم أفكارهم وأحلامهم. اعطوهم الفرصة للتعبير عن أنفسهم. حلقوا في سمائهم عاليا. اجعلوهم سباقين لا تابعين. سلحوهم بخبرتكم وبإيمانكم بهم. لا تتركوهم فريسة لمن يقتاد بطموحهم ويستخدمهم أداة لنشر العنف والكراهية. املأوا قلوبهم بالأمل والحرية والدعم الذي لا نهاية له. افتحوا لهم أبواب الثقة واعطوهم مفاتيح القيادة فلا حاضر بدونهم ولا مستقبل بغيرهم.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said that Egypt was one of the few countries around the world that achieved a growth rate amidst the corona pandemic. During the first and main session of the fourth edition of World Youth Forum in Sharm el-Sheikh city, el-Sisi noted that at the beginning of the pandemic, the whole world thought that casualties would be around several thousand, but shortly later, we have found that casualties and infections exceeded tens of millions around the world, adding that several and complete sectors shut down completely all around the world. He noted that Egypt has launched several health campaigns during the past years to overcome diseases such as virus C that help the country to control and limit COVID-19 infections. The president also noted that without the strong economic reform program that Egypt has launched in November 2016, we would not have been able to withstand the economic shocks caused by the repercussions of COVID-19. He affirmed that both of the tourism and aviation sectors in Egypt have been greatly affected by COVID-19. However, the government took steps to compensate the affected sectors. President el-Sisi also said that Egypt also supported irregular employment during the pandemic with financial aids. He noted that the government was keen not to suspend the progress in any of the country's economic projects. He explained that Haya Karima was one of the huge initiatives that Egypt launched during the past years to face the repercussions of poverty in the countryside, along with COVID-19 effects. He noted that in the coming years, COVID-19 real effects will emphasize and appear more clearly, as everyone will get to notice that the pandemic had positive effects along with the negative ones.
دولة على وشك الانهيار ووشك الضياع، والشعب كان فاقد الأمل والثقة في مستقبل أفضل، وكان لابد من إعادة بناء الانطباع لدى المصريين. بعد 5 سنين بفضل الله سبحانه وتعالى وبفضل شعب مصر وتضحياته، احنا في موقف ووضع تاني خالص.
دائما برامج الإصلاح الاقتصادي برامج بتحتاج إلى رؤية سياسية وإرادة سياسية كبيرة وعزيمة شعب إن احنا ننفذ هذه الإجراءات.
أي حكومة لما بتتعامل مع قضايا شديدة الأهمية بتضع في الاعتبار رد الفعل.
مفيش إصلاح حقيقي من غير تكلفة، عشان كده مصر وهي بتضع برنامج الإصلاح في وقتها يمكن وضعت أكبر حزمة اجتماعية في تاريخها، لأن احنا عارفين إنه الحماية الاجتماعية الحقيقية هي توفير فرص العمل.
كام مليون بيشتغل في كل مشاريع الدولة من أقصى الصعيد لغاية اسكندرية، ما يقلش عن 5 مليون.
احنا وفرنا تقريبا في حدود 900,000 فرصة عمل سنويا، ودي الحماية الاجتماعية الحقيقية اللي فعلا بنوفرها للمواطن.
هو ده اللي مخلي المواطن النهارده عنده أمل ويتحمل ويتقبل أي إجراءات إصلاحية، لأنه شايف النهارده في أمل.
رد فعلكم على الإصلاح الاقتصادي كان محل تقدير واحترام شديد ليا، كان شرف ليا، تحملكم شرف.
المؤسسات الدولية الكبيرة كلها هي اللي بتقول إن مصر النهارده نموذج نجاح لكل العالم.
ثقة فيكم انتوا، ثقة في الوعي وفي إرادة التغيير اللي موجودة في شعب مصر واللي هو السحب.
Right, welcome back. And indeed, part of, or because of the great efforts exerted by the government and because of the reform program that was made by the government, the Egyptian economy was able to withstand the COVID-19 period. The whole globe was put in jeopardy, but Egypt was able to grasp the situation and go on with its plans and work. Part of what Egypt took care very much of was the health system, particularly of what concerns definitely the previous initiatives. For an instance, the initiative of the 100 million health system that helped us or helped Egyptians not to suffer from the COVID-19 or how it reflected on their health after that. Today, we're speaking about Egypt's comprehensive strategy that Egypt has adopted during the past period in order to be able to control the coronavirus pandemic. Let me again welcome our guest, Dr. Amr Al-Maghraby, member of board of the Pharmacists Syndicate. Thank you again for being with us.
Welcome.
Let me here start with the good news. And the rate of COVID-related hospital admissions across Egypt has declined by 40.4%. This is official data. To which reasons do you attribute that?
First, we must say that there is a great effort from all the government, starting from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, as we saw in the report,
indeed,
as he gave direct instructions from first to be very keen in this virus and to focus many effort to fight it or to prevent it on the citizens. The medical staff and the medical system in Egypt was ready to the first and second and third wave of corona.
Yes.
This is not the first decrease in the percentage. As it was in the last year, when there is a high level and then it decreased again because we are ready to the wave or when the virus go to a high level of this. This is because there is a good staff of medical in Egypt and there is a medical stock of the medical supplies. Intensive care beds was increased to not to make anything to a chance. So that that goes to the result that the decrease in the numbers and also we don't want to forget the vaccine plan to all the people. This was very important to reduce the numbers of infection.
No, we'll speak about the vaccine because the vaccine
This is the most important point. This is
yes,
the most important point.
This is a very positive news of itself. Yes. But let me here speak, yes, we were very ready for the different waves that came to Egypt. All the institutions in Egypt worked together in order to be able to afford. Definitely, we will never forget our white soldiers who stood in the front and really protected us all and we can never forget what they did for us, especially at the very beginning, and their sacrifices, and some of them lost even their lives. Yes, but those were soldiers in the battle.
Thank you. Yes, the medical staff and the medical workers made a great effort in this virus, and in Egypt, rather than other countries. In other countries, the medical staff didn't make the same effort as Egypt because, as me, one of the medical staff, and my colleague, we thought it is our family. It is our
Actually,
family.
In Egypt, we see matters as everyone in his position is a soldier in a different battlefield.
Yeah.
So we exert all our efforts, indeed, indeed. And this was their battlefield this time. We can but salute them and salute their souls. Here we're speaking about adopting that was part of adopting a comprehensive strategy.
Yes.
A comprehensive strategy to combat the coronavirus from one side and provide the vaccines from the other side. So let me first take from you the comprehensive plan to be able to combat the coronavirus from all institutions altogether.
We can say that the government make a comprehensive plan to combat the coronavirus, as you said, and on the other side, the vaccine on the other. Because we wanted to stop the virus, not prevent, not to make medicine to anyone who makes infections. No, we wanted to stop it from start. So the Egyptian government make a great effort to speed up the pace of citizens that take the approved vaccination. This was through many things. That there was a fixed vaccination center and mobile vaccination center to go to people in every place. We saw there is vaccination centers in railway stations, in shopping centers, in the place of schools, university. There was vaccination center in every place. That reaches us that, as you said, 30 million people take vaccinated, and not just first and second dose. We reached that now over 1 million people take the booster dose, the third dose. Let's say that in the past, Egypt as an African country, and early it is named a poor country in the past. We didn't reach to all these numbers before. The world can't imagine that Egypt reached to these numbers and this percentage of vaccinated people, and in the other side reduces the infection people and reduces.
30 million people took both doses, 40 million took the first dose, and 1 million already took the booster.
Yes.
Yes, please continue. Yes.
But I wanted to say something. We didn't stop on vaccines and importing it from other side, but the country started to, addition to make manufacturing
produce
vaccines. From the first day, when vaccine was manufactured in just one country or two countries in the world, Mr. President Fattah al-Sisi make direct instruction that Egypt must be part of this. In first, we imported some vaccine. We started with China, with Sinopharm, and we don't want to depend on the vaccine come from outside. We make another step, and that we started to take quantity of it and package it in Egypt to go to the second step. And then Egypt we started to think, why we don't make it for first? No one can imagine this when we go back 10 or 20 years before. We can't imagine that we can manufacture it from first. That's what Egypt do now.
All by Egyptian-made products, right? That is according to what the minister here said. Before we continue on with our discussion, and before we continue how Egypt will be exporting also to Africa, and how Egypt has been speaking in the international forums about Africa or on behalf of Africa. Let me here take this report. In Egypt starts trials for the second domestic COVID-19 vaccine, plans to produce 1.6 million doses daily. Let's watch.
Egypt started clinical trials on Tuesday for its second local coronavirus vaccine, EG-Vax, which will be produced in cooperation with private drug company Eva Pharma, with plans to produce 1.6 million doses daily. He said the trials represented a very important development and major success for Egypt in fighting the coronavirus pandemic, not only through its work with international organizations over the past 2 years, but as a result of the efforts of a number of Egyptian scientists and researchers. The minister added, the new vaccine is the fruit of Egypt's capabilities to produce and adopt vaccines globally, and it also reflects the amount of care given by the political leadership to this issue by providing material and moral support to Egyptian scientists and researchers, believing in their distinguished scientific and research capabilities. Working on 100% Egyptian vaccine is unprecedented, and we are cooperating with all national and international agencies to be assured that safety and effectiveness are at the highest level. Abdel Ghaffar pointed out that manufacturing the vaccine locally would provide a considerable amount of hard currency for the country. He also said that transforming scientific research into a product is not an easy matter, but it is taking place according to in-depth studies and full cooperation between the various agencies representing the Egyptian state and Eva Pharma healthcare company, as it is one of the major manufacturing entities in the field of pharmaceutical industries in Egypt. He noted that the Egyptian government was seeking to localize the vaccine industry via both state-owned Vaxira holding company and the private sector. Egypt's strategic partner in the manufacture of the vaccine said work was underway to build vaccine manufacturing capabilities within Eva Pharma industrial complexes. He pointed out that the results of preclinical laboratory studies on animals showed an increase in antibodies in the blood against COVID-19 after 2 doses of EG-Vax, adding that monitoring of side effects, blood analysis, and chest X-rays gave promising indications about the safety and efficiency of the vaccine. The Egyptian vaccine would be produced to meet the standards of the World Health Organization and the US Food and Drug Administration, allowing it to be exported around the world. Egypt has been locally producing the Sinovac Vaxira COVID-19 vaccine since June 2021 at Vaxira's factories under an agreement signed in April of the same year with China's Sinovac biopharmaceutical company. Hossam Abdel Ghaffar, the spokesman for the Ministry of Health and Population, said that Egypt will also start producing mRNA COVID-19 vaccines over the next few months after the country was chosen, along with 5 other African nations, by World Health Organization to receive the technology needed for production. He added that the process will include extracting the raw material needed to produce mRNA vaccines like the Pfizer-BioNTech and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines.
اللي بيتعمل ده من فضل ربنا علينا، بنتقدم وهنتقدم اكتر، وده اللي يهمنا ان احنا ندي للناس امل ان في تغيير وفي فرص للعمل. القوات المسلحه لما تقوم بالدور ده مش على حساب ابدا القطاع الخاص او القطاع المدني، بالعكس القطاع الخاص مرحب بيه للشراكه. أقول لكل من شارك في إنجاح وإخراج المصنعين في أقصر وقت كل الشكر وكل التقدير ليكم.
Welcome back. And yes, Egyptian vaccines, Egyptian researchers, Egyptian scientists, all made in Egypt. And back to you, Dr. Amr. And as we saw the report, and Egypt started with the Sinovac first, and then moved on to EG vax. Tell us more.
First, we wanted to say something to the people. Do you know that we have only 8 or 9 or 10 vaccines all over the world?
Yes.
Just all over the world. 200 or 300 countries just made 9 or 10 vaccines. Egypt will be one of it. Egypt will be one of just 10 vaccines all over the world.
And the clinical trials also show very positive effects, right?
Yes, it started already. As we saw, there is a press conference was held to announce the start of producing the first purely manufactured Egyptian vaccine, and it's called EGVax. When we see the names of vaccines, Sinopharm, Johnson, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, Moderna, there is no country of it. Just the name of company, medical company. Pfizer is a great company, not in one country. It is a country with many branches in over the world, but Egypt is EGVax. Egypt in it. If there is any people, any citizens, he talk AstraZeneca. Do you know is you know AstraZeneca made in which country?
No. But I know.
Some people, yes, I know. Some people we know who have knowledge of this. I know AstraZeneca who because I search on net or read books. But I speak about the person, the normal person. AstraZeneca, Sinopharm, Pfizer, don't know which country. But our vaccine, when it will be exported to Africa, in Asia, EGVax. So he will know it is Egyptian.
Indeed.
We can say now that Egypt will have its own weapon in medical.
You pinpointed your finger on a very important issue, and you brought up the issue of Africa. And since the very beginning, Egypt has been working to speak on behalf of Africa first, to have a fair distribution of the vaccine. Yes, indeed, Middle East Africa, to have a fair distribution to the vaccine in the developed countries and in the Middle East and Africa. And today, when we are producing or will be manufacturing and producing the vaccine, first thing that came to our minds was the distribution also to our grassroots and area. Yes. Please tell us more.
The manufacture of our own vaccine, we wanted to be a regional center for exporting. The big factory will be held in October. As you say, it will produce 1.6 million doses per day. It means that we will cover all the Egyptian need, and then we will export to the other countries. The matter don't stop on exporting vaccine or medicine or this, but it make you strong with the other country. You don't give the country just a vaccine or ampoule. You give it a medicine that saves the life. Saves the life of these.
We're speaking about the health.
Citizens of this. As you see what happened in China, when China gave us the vaccine in first. No one in the world they have vaccine. So when China gave us vaccine, it was a very helpful from China to Egypt, and we won't forget it in the future.
Remember that we sent medical.
Yes, before it.
Yes,
so,
medical
things. When I give vaccine to other countries in Africa, it is a big favor to this country. Not just exporting or money or no, it is saving of life.
Egypt has been doing that since the very beginning, have been sending medical staffs and medical equipments and others. Just to end up our episode, because my running has run out, and what's your expectation to this upcoming stage? I have only half a minute.
We are in the safe zone there. We can say that we crossed the risk area. Even people in the street have awareness of how to prevent infection, how to wear masks, how to make. So we can say it is, but and when vaccinated into all the people, I think it will be good.
Hopefully, hopefully. Dr. Amr Al-Maghraby, Secretary General, rather member of board of the Pharmacists Syndicate, we thank you so much for
Thank you
being
very
with
much.
us
It was a very honor
tonight.
for me to be with you.
The
Thank you
pleasure
very
is all ours. And dear viewers, many thanks for watching. Next Sunday would be another important debate. Until next Sunday, it's good night.